Hello, hello, hello. JLR Investigates. Come on in, everyone. I got some breaking news in reference to this horrible tragedy that occurred in Louisiana and Mississippi. We have an accomplice, folks. We have an accomplice to this horrible crime that occurred. This crime is just the worst of the worst. This is 32-year-old Victoria Cox, and she has also been arrested, folks, with Daniel Callihan. Authorities were looking for her. She didn't get arrested right away, but she has now been taken into custody. Very interesting about this girl we're going to talk about. We're talking about the terrible tragedy that occurred. We've been covering this case yesterday in Breaking Time. A mother lost her life. She was murdered inside her home. Loranger, is that how you say it? Louisiana. And her children, her two children, 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, were abducted. We were speculating that the person that got arrested, Daniel Callihan, that abducted them, could have been the older child's father. Not so sure at this point. We don't have validation of that. The younger child, Erin Brunett, lost her lost life. Her body was found in the woods in Jackson, Mississippi, quite a distance from Louisiana. How do you say it? Loranger, Louisiana. Kind of sounds like Loranger. If there's any good news out of this tragedy, the 6-year-old Jalie was found alive. Apparently she went to the hospital. Unclear what exactly was happening with her. But what in the world happened here in Louisiana and Mississippi? We're going to talk about it because we're going to talk about this guy here because he has transformed his appearance significantly in the last couple years. There has been some weird, bizarre behaviors dealing with this guy right here in the last few years. Now, we shared his photo on JLR Investigates. Some old Facebook photos of him. We shared it yesterday. This is going back a couple years. But this dude right here who has been arrested, he's 36 years old, Daniel Callihan. He went from this to this. This is the man that you saw. Maybe you saw the images, maybe you haven't, of being pulled out of the woods by authorities. Now, people are saying, and the sheriff down there in that county in Louisiana, I'm going to try to pronounce this. You know I have difficulties pronouncing certain names. Tangipahoa, or Tangipahoa. How about that? Tangipahoa Parish. Just north of Hammond, Louisiana, a little small community. Sheriff said that this guy was dating the victim at one point. The mother, 35-year-old. Her father rolled in on her trailer. She was reported missing. No one could find her. Her father went to her trailer and found her dead. And her two children here missing. And her vehicle missing. There was an Amber Alert. We were covering it in real time. And then the Amber Alert went around a little after noon yesterday. As we were reporting live, there has been some spottings on north of on I-55 going towards Jackson, Mississippi. We stopped our stream, and then I came back on with an additional stream to report that this individual right here was arrested. We heard from the police chief in Jackson, Mississippi, who described horrific details about the area where this guy was found. Possibly human trafficking involved here. The police chief wants to know how in the world did this guy, this monster, end up in Jackson, Mississippi with two children after killing the mother down in Louisiana, just to the south. And also stealing her car. But now today, folks, we have an accomplice that has also been arrested. Now, one thing I will share on JLR Investigates, I found a possible clue here that I want to share with all of you. So, when she got arrested, her name is Victoria Cox. You know, JLR Investigates starts using the databases. Does she have a criminal record? Who is she? What's she do for a living? Where's she from? But I want to report some disturbing news, which I found out, and it has not been reported yet that I know of. I'm going to present you guys a Google map. And on this Google map, I'm going to show you where the mother was murdered. I'm going to show you where Callie Brunett was murdered. The house her dad found her murdered. Then I'm going to show you on the same map where Victoria, the accomplice, lives. And you're going to be shocked, folks, when I show you this. You ready? Let's go. Right here is where Callie Brunett was found, her body. Right here on Cooper Road. Right down the road, folks, is where the accomplice lives. So this makes this case very interesting. According to records that I was able to obtain, Victoria Cox, 32 years old, is a neighbor of Callie. So there's something going on here, folks. So sad. And as the sheriff said yesterday, that Daniel Callihan had something going on at one point with Callie. Relationship. But if there was something going on, does Daniel now have something going on with Victoria, the accomplice, who lives right down the street, 0.8 miles away on the same road? So that could be maybe something we're trying to figure out here, because I'm not so sure he had any children. I'm not so sure the oldest child, like we reported yesterday, the 6-year-old, Jalie, who has survived, who was the surviving of the two children. I'm not so sure that's his child. Though we posted his Facebook profile, there was a child on there. Some people saying it looks like, you know, the 6-year-old. Other people are saying no. I'm not so sure under further review, because this Facebook hasn't been active for at least 8 years, it looks like, the last time he posted something. So publicly, could be, you know, posting things for friends only or private. But let's listen to the police chief, because this police chief is ticked off. He's mad, and he wants answers. And this police chief shares a little bit about the accomplice today and about the crime scene. And it looks like, folks, they're still at this crime scene, authorities, which is very interesting. And the police chief of Jackson, Mississippi, I like this guy. I like this guy when he talks, man. He seems like he's, you know, wants to lock these people up, and he called him a monster. He called him, you'll see what he calls him. But I'm going to get this interview because he spoke. Chief Joseph Wade with the
Chief, we understand that the
Jackson Police Department. We're gonna share the chief. Chief sitting in his chair. He speaks to a couple of reporters. We're gonna listen to what he had to say, because he just gave out this interview. This interview was just conducted an hour or so ago. So we're gonna get some new details, folks. So let's rock with it.
So, Chief, we understand that you guys have arrested an accomplice in connection with Daniel Callihan. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it was a collaborative effort between the FBI Task Force, the U.S. Marshals, the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, and, of course, the Jackson Police Department. That arrest took place at 3880 I-55 South, the Oyo Hotel in South Jackson. We had received some initial information yesterday that someone could have possibly been with him. We wanted to take a covert approach to try to locate her, and it was successful today that we got her in custody. She is currently being questioned inside the Jackson Police Department. We will make her mugshot available or perp walk her once we finish questioning her.
What's her name, Chief?
Victoria Cox. Victoria Cox. She's a 32-year-old female. Like I stated, we received information about her yesterday, and we're still trying to determine her exact role Based on information that I got on yesterday and early this morning, she is an acquaintance and possibly girlfriend of Mr. Callihan. But I can tell you this, she will be held accountable for her actions and her role in this horrific event that happened that spanned from Tangipahoa to South Jackson. She could be possibly facing capital murder charges along with him or accessory before and after the fact. We will contact our district attorney to see how he wants to proceed, but we have so many different things going here, Ross. We have Tangipahoa with their murder case. We have the city of Jackson with their murder case. We also have the FBI involved because he took these abducted children across state lines. The FBI is very active in this investigation. I've been on the phone with them this morning. I have Assistant Chief Watts currently working with them to find out exactly how we're going to proceed with these charges and who is going to get him before a judge first. But it is a collaborative effort. It's not about who has jurisdiction. It's about us working together to bring justice for the loss of this baby's life here in the city of Jackson.
And obviously you're saying that you believe that she was an acquaintance, so she would have probably been traveling with him with the two girls in the truck, in the car.
We anticipated that was the case, but we will be able to finalize it just shortly. She's being questioned as we speak. She's in our building right now. Police headquarters being questioned by detectives, and we'll be able to determine what role she played, if any, but we anticipate that she's going to be facing some very serious charges along with Mr. Callihan.
Did she resist? Was she armed when you guys went to that hotel
She was arrested without incident. There was no force needed, excessive force, or anything that would require any type of use of force continuum. Let me correct that. She was compliant as far as I know. For the information that I received, she was in compliance. But the issue is that we have to bring justice for the loss of this child. That was horrific. It sent shockwaves across the city. It sent shockwaves as far as New Orleans. I've gotten calls from New Orleans, Louisiana. I've gotten calls from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, from individuals there and news media outlets there, because this has sent shockwaves across the Gulf South that this actually happened. He killed the mother, took her children, brought the children to Jackson, Mississippi, killed one of the children. And probably if law enforcement had not intervened, the other child probably would be deceased as well.
And as it relates to the deceased child, any indication further on how she was killed?
That would be determined by the autopsy, the medical examiner. Her body was not removed until late last night. We had to work that crime scene properly. My understanding is still being worked. We had to work it with a scalpel to make sure it was done correctly. The body was not removed, probably Ross, after 11 p.m. last night. And as you know, we were out there at 2, 3 o'clock yesterday evening to make sure. I'm not sure how she lost her life. Was it blunt force trauma? Was it suffocation? I'm not sure. But I know that she was deceased in the woods, lying in the woods when I saw her.
And in fact, so did it appear just from looking at her body that
I don't want to.
She looked like a lifeless child.
She was a lifeless child. She was deceased, and it was horrifying to see. I know that she didn't die of natural causes in the woods. I know that. I know that he's responsible for it, and he will be held accountable for it.
And I know also, Chief, you pushed back on a report that the two girls had been buried alive. Where did that come from?
I don't know where that came from. It is kind of hard to describe the area. Of course, it was about 40 or 50 yards in the woods from the home. And it was like a hill with an open area at the bottom. And the child was actually at the top of this hill. And the other child, my understanding, was down kind of in the hill, but it wasn't trying to cover them up. It was just kind of the way the ground and the terrain was. Maybe if he had time, he would have tried to do that, but they were not buried at the time that they were discovered.
And has he made any statements to police? Ms. Cox, has she made any statements to police?
She's being questioned right now. I don't know what she's saying, what she's not saying. I know that Mr. Callihan was transported over to Rankin County last night. Our federal partners are very active in his interrogation, his interview interrogation, along with our Jackson police officers and Tangipahoa. They were here yesterday. A captain, a lieutenant, and their criminal investigators were here in Jackson So it's a collaborative effort because I assume, based on I've worked homicide for 9 years back in the 2000s, and you're probably only going to get one shot to interview these people. And you got to make sure you have it right. You got to make sure you have your ducks in a row because this is something that's going to grow, and it still could continue to grow as we process this crime scene to determine why he came to that location.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. All right. I'm sure we'll give an update.
And you were just listening to...
So, what in the world's going on here? Some people in the chat I forgot to mention, and this is a more horrible news. Maya Rudd, little baby that we talked about in Kentucky, apparently she's been found inside a home. I'll look more into that and share more about that. We covered the press conference a couple of days ago. All these just horrible things are happening around the country in reference to these children. But why? Why in this particular case and all the cases out there do these monsters feel like they can do it? And think about it, folks. Oh, Victoria is a major accomplice here. She lived, and we just got some information there. Victoria and him are in a relationship. That's what I heard. Victoria lives down the street from where Callie was murdered. Looks like after he was arrested, Victoria kind of left the area and tried to hide at a hotel, an OYO hotel. And that's where she was picked up along I-55 at a hotel right off of I-55. Oh, it's a capital case. But why did she do it? Why did they feel the need to just go at their neighbor? Why did these two monsters feel that they could just go right to their neighbor and murder her and then take the children up to Jackson? I totally agree with the police chief. Why Jackson? Because it doesn't seem like... This is sad. I get so sad looking at this because it's a mother now. It's a child. The 6-year-old lived. But the 6-year-old now doesn't have a sister or a mother. So it's going to take a long time for the 6-year-old that lived, Jalie, to recover. So let's just have prayers for them. Apparently, the grandparents are going to get custody, temporary custody, I don't know, full-time custody, temporary custody of the child for now. This is horrible, folks. But guess what? I also want to report something else. The apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. There are some news reports out there that his own father spent time in prison for murder. And we're going to talk about this a little bit because the circumstances of what his own father did to another victim is pretty egregious. There's an article out there that says it runs in the family. So, I'm going to read this article through Unfiltered. It's called Unfiltered with Kiran. Kiran. And it shares a family history of this Callihan guy and his dad. So, I don't know if you guys seen this photo too. This was also circulating. Look at this guy when he was arrested. I love the perp walks and I love seeing photos of sheriff's departments pulling the defendants out of the trees or out of the woods. You know, when the defendants try to run away or they get apprehended. I love seeing these photos. Remember Cavalcante when they showed off Cavalcante after he escaped prison? I love seeing this. I want to see more of this. I want to see more of the perp walks. That's what this is exactly designed for. But that's him taken into custody. Wow. That's crazy. And this is an epic photo. Literally. They're just dragging him out of the woods. So I'm glad this happened. Oh, he's in big trouble, by the way, folks. Death penalty case? Absolutely. You don't play in Mississippi or Louisiana. Right? Multiple jurisdictions. I mean, we're talking murder of a mother, murder of a child, kidnapping of another child over interstate lines, stealing their car, and an accomplice. Oh, this is something you're going to see where down the line he's going to face old Sparky. Maybe the firing squad, maybe lethal injection. It is coming for this guy. You don't mess with children at all. This is Stefan Stern's type of evil, folks. I could go out on the limb and say it's even worse. You know, I don't want to compare worse with worse. It's all bad. It's all bad. So according to this article here, it says it runs in the family. Man accused of kidnapping, killing has troubled history. Matter of fact, what I'll do, make this easier because it's hard to read. I'll actually hold up his photo and read a little bit to give you guys some insight. So just look at this face. Remember this face. We like to share mugshots on JLR Investigates. This article says, Daniel Callihan, the man suspected of killing 2 girls and allegedly killing one of them, has a criminal history according to court records. Callihan was arrested in Mississippi on Thursday evening after an all-day manhunt across 2 states. Callihan, 36, from Amite, Amite, Louisiana, I hope I'm saying that right, is accused of killing his former girlfriend, Callie Brunett, before kidnapping her 2 daughters. The alleged kidnapping of Erin and Jalie triggered a statewide Amber Alert. Her body was found, the 4-year-old Erin, her body was found in the woods in Jackson, Mississippi. Her sister was found alive, however, she did go to the hospital. He was in a neighborhood in Jackson, Mississippi, pulling on doors, and someone made a call to police. An undercover officer in the area responded, saw the suspect, and initiated a pursuit. After the pursuit, the officer learned who the suspect was. After he was taken into custody, his car was located, and the 6-year-old was found unharmed inside. She actually was taken to the hospital. Criminal history of Daniel Callihan, 2009. Simple burglary and theft. UWK has learned that Callihan has a history of burglary. In 2009, he was convicted of 3 counts of burglary in Louisiana. Initially, he was put on probation, but it was soon revoked. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Around the same time, he was charged with introducing contraband in prison. Oh, wow. So now he's bringing in drugs in jail, too, or prison. Reportedly, while in the Amite City Jail, another inmate gave him Suboxone strips. Also in 2009, Callihan was arrested for stealing something from his mother. But she later dropped the charges against him. So he steals from his own mom, too. 2006, he has improper telephone communication charge. 3 years prior, Callihan was charged with improper telephone communication in Louisiana misdemeanor defense. Given the charge is 18 years old, few details were already available. Now, this is what makes this interesting. It runs in the family. In addition to the criminal history of the guy you see right here, UWK has learned that Callihan's father was sentenced to 21 years in prison for manslaughter in the 1990s. His name was Kelly Wayne Drott, D-R-T-T, from Amite, A-M-I-T-E, was serving a 21-year sentence for manslaughter in New Orleans for the death of a 19-year-old Denham Springs woman named Rebecca Forbes. She was at the Italian festival in April 1990 when she met Kelly Drott at the festival. That was the last time Forbes was seen alive. 3 weeks later, Forbes' decomposed body was found along the banks of the river in Louisiana, one of the parishes. I can't even say that word. You know what? Tangipahoa. I gotta learn that. Sorry. Drott was questioned about it, but told detectives that he had last seen Forbes around 10 p.m. the night. However, police found blood spots in his car that matches Forbes' blood. It was why he was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to 21 years behind bars. He could be out, because I was trying to find him in the Louisiana Department of Corrections database. I was trying to find a mugshot. I can't even find a photo of him, so I don't know where he's at. But if that was in the early 90s, he got 21 years in prison. It's safe to assume that Tangipahoa. Yes. Hopefully I said that right. Tangipahoa. So his own dad did something very egregious, just like what he is now arrested for. Like father, like son. But also his own dad was like a fugitive. A manhunt. Here's an old article I was able to pluck up by Googling his name, and it says, manhunt continues for escaped Louisiana killer hostage. And it says the Mississippi Highway Patrol set up roadblocks Tuesday in search of a Louisiana prison escapee who took a 17-year-old hostage from a convenience store at Batesville and later shot a woman believed to be an accomplice in a jailbreak. Officials in Mississippi, Tennessee, and the FBI are searching for Kelly Wayne Drott, who was convicted in 1991 of manslaughter and is believed to be armed with a .357 pistol and a shotgun. He's 6'1", 180 pounds, has brown hair, recently dyed black and brown eyes. He was last seen driving a black 1991 Camaro. His own dad got that conviction for manslaughter and then escaped prison. Like father, like son. Unbelievable. Don't do drugs, folks. Absolutely concur on that. Now, let's go back to the accomplice. Because the accomplice has a Facebook page I want to share with all of you. Her name is Victoria. And I just want to show you just the type of person we're dealing with. I actually have to get it up on here. Let me get it up here. This is some really, okay, yeah, I got it right here. Here she is, Victoria Cox. This is the accomplice. Victoria Cox. Loranger, Louisiana. On her Facebook status, it says, in a relationship. She got pictures of children. So she basically ruined her life and possibly herself could get the death penalty for what she did. And she was a mother herself. Now, we're not going to show full faces. I'll try my best. Here she is. Last posted March 17th, 2023. There she is. There's the accomplice. There is the accomplice, folks, who looks like a mother herself. It looks like she's a neighbor of Callie. What in the world possessed her to do this? What in the world was this woman thinking? What is in her ear? What is in her ear? What's all this? What's going on here? Medusa? She's going to go to prison and be known as a child, Killer. You heard the police chief from Jackson, Mississippi. He said that we will put out her mugshot and perp walk. He also said perp walk soon. So we might be getting a perp walk. When we get that perp walk, we're going to share it on JLR Investigates. It could be a hearing aid. And if I said this any disrespectful to someone, hearing aid, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. That could be a hearing aid. So we're not saying anything wrong with anyone with disabilities. I actually have problems a little bit with my right ear. So, but what in the world are we dealing with here, folks? Oh, I'm not going to show the kids. I don't think it's fair. Oh, we got a winner here. Oh, we have a winner here. Look at this. Oh, so politically correct, right? Oh, yeah, right? Look at this. This is the type of person we're dealing with. Just like, screw the world, right? F the world, right? Unbelievable. I'll tell you, we try to refrain from profanity on JLR Investigates, but I personally do not like seeing any photos of anyone or videos of when people give the finger. And they do that on their profile. Some people. I'm not into it. If you're into it, that's you, but I don't personally like it. I think it's just, I think it's not classy. I think it's tasteless. I think it's, who gives middle fingers and takes pictures giving the middle finger? I don't like it. I don't like it. And she made a post. She made a post. Be strong now because things will get better. It might be stormy now, but can't rain forever. Yep. But for you, you got storm clouds coming. Oh, the rain is coming forever on you. You're going to be behind bars, possibly on death row. She could be on Mississippi death row. You might see a female here, unless she makes a plea agreement, Victoria Cox, do what's right. According to the police chief, she's being interrogated. She could still be interrogating in one of those rooms. You know what sucks too? I don't like Mississippi when it comes to public records requests. Mississippi tries to withhold these records. I was gonna think to myself, like Stearns, and when we be covering these cases, we'll get the interrogation videos by public records requests. Mississippi's actually one of the hardest states out there. They don't like to give records of nothing. Just like Alabama, Mississippi, horrible. Can't really get records all like that. Maybe they'll release it though because it's a public interest case. Let me show you this clip here from the crime scene. This was a news article that came out. And this one was the crime scene. Let me see if I get it up here.
So, Chief, we understand that you guys...
And it's like a few-minute clip, but it kind of gives you an understanding of what it looked like when they're searching the woods. Because apparently, now there's some, I will say, when we heard cages and human trafficking, right? Remember we heard yesterday and everyone's like jaw dropped and they were like, oh my God, human trafficking? And it very well could be human trafficking going on. Because why did he go to that particular location? But... folks, there could be an explanation about the cages. Remember, we heard cages. And I want to share this because it was on the 3900 block of Boozier Drive in Jackson where the child was found. And this is where the police chief was saying there's cages all in the area. But there could be an explanation for the cages because according to Google Maps, this area, Lakewood South Funeral Home there, it happened here in the woods, but right below in the woods, Feathers, Fin, and Fur's exotic pet shop. So I'm just thinking maybe the cages, the exotic pet shop, maybe the owners over time maybe went back in the woods instead of getting, you know how people do. They just throw their junk away in the woods so they don't have to pay for a dumpster or take it away. So, that could be a possibility, right? That could be a possibility that these cages that the person, and this could be not in existence anymore. This is just according to Google Maps. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not saying there wasn't trafficking going on. Maybe this is a place that is used for trafficking because there's old cages there. I don't know. I'm just saying that there could be an explanation to the cages. Pet shop, Dog cages, animal cages. So we'll look more into that. But here, I want to show you something about the crime scene, ladies and gentlemen, because this was a news report yesterday afternoon while things were going on, but it kind of just shows you the area here. So we're going to play this short clip right here. It's about 2 minutes.
Well, Katie, Charisse, those two girls were found just behind me here in Jackson, right off of Boozier Drive. I want to take a step out of the way to show you all a little bit more of this scene. We are told that 4-year-old Erin, who was pronounced dead on the scene, was found in this wooded area in this neighborhood. Now we know that 6-year-old Jalie, as Eleanor just said, was also found here injured, but she is expected to be okay after being taken to the hospital. So this is what led detectives to this area in Jackson. We know that U.S. Marshals were able to identify the car that they had been looking for all day using a license plate reader. They were able to chase the suspect, Daniel Callihan, to this area where they did arrest him. Now, we learned within the last 30 minutes, our sister station, the CBS affiliate WJTV in Jackson, is reporting that that suspect, Daniel Callihan, was taken from the scene just within the last 30 minutes. So he has been on scene here in Jackson for several hours now since this discovery was made. Also, as Eleanor said, grandparents are en route to be with the 6-year-old Jalie at this time. Now, this area, WJTV is saying that there was evidence of possible human trafficking. There were small dog cages, animal cages, things of that nature. So as you can see, it's still very active at this time. Investigators, detectives are in the scene. We have seen some from Louisiana, but the majority of them at this point are from Jackson, are from Mississippi. And we also know at this time that WJTV is reporting that the FBI is taking over this scene. So that's what we know here in Jackson. We're going to keep this scene covered for you tonight and bring you the very latest later at 10. Reporting live in Jackson, Lily Cummings.
Good
WWL
report.
Louisiana.
Love the boots on the
Lily.
ground. FBI. Is the FBI going to just take over this whole entire case? Here's an old mugshot of him. Again, there's different looks of him. We showed his photos from some of the old pages yesterday. His appearance has significantly changed. This is probably one of his old burglary mugshots, but he went from this to this. So it's a big difference here. It looks like he lost a lot of weight. Looks like some of his neck just looks like, you know, I'm suspecting a lot of drugs here. I'm suspecting a lot of drugs involved with this. You know, that his hair. Sheriffs earlier released a photo of some burglaries, and this same dude like prowling through different areas. He was caught on surveillance back there in Loranger in that area. So, you know, was there drug element here involved? Did he do this horrible act because he was under the influence of something, fentanyl, or I don't know what? I don't know, but this just looks scary. This looks demonic, and thank God this guy is taken off the streets. He's never going to see society ever again. He's never going to see society ever again. And he's currently according to jail records, he's currently at the Rankin County Detention Center in Brandon, Mississippi. So it could be possible, folks, instead of maybe, and this could also be possible too, he might not face state charges. It seems like maybe possibly, since the fact that the girls went over interstate lines, feds pick it up, charge him with a federal, you know, murder, kidnapping children over interstate lines, and then he just goes to federal prison or even be federal death row in Terre Haute, Indiana. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But, you know, one of these agencies here is going to take a first bite at the apple. Because really, in a sense, you have 3 jurisdictions that can really, you know, take a bite out of his crime. And when I say that, you have Louisiana, because he killed 35. He killed the mother, right, Callie. Then took her car, went over interstate lines, feds. Took the children over interstate lines, federal government, federal charges. And then you got Mississippi, where one of the children, plus in an attempt of probably harming the second children, one of the children died. So you got Mississippi that can, you know, get him. You got Louisiana that could get him. You got feds that can get him, or you can get one that each jurisdiction charges him. And he faces, you know, racks and racks of different types of indictments in different multiple states, and each one goes at each one. Kind of like Lori Valadao, right? She was up in Idaho, now she's down there in Arizona. Well, there's a very strong possibility Mississippi or the feds or either or, you know, takes a bite at him first and then, you know, passes him along to the next jurisdiction once he's sentenced. But we're going to keep our eyes out on this guy. We're going to find out more about this case, you know, who this guy is, when he has a court hearing, when he has an appearance. I'll look for the perp walk on her and the mugshot, and I'll post this on my Twitter at JLR Investigates on Twitter. Any court hearings, any other statements by police chiefs, anything else to do with this case, we're on it. We're pretty much in the know, and I'm invested in this. You know, I want to see justice for these children and the family, the Brunett family. Brunett, Brunett. Almost like your color hair, brunette, right? Brunette. So sad, so sad. And we'll keep bringing public awareness to this case right here on JLR Investigates. Let me know what you think. We cover true crime 24/7, 365. Protect the children at all costs. Praying. Stay vigilant out there, my friends, as you know, your neighbors could do something to you. It's just wild stuff, man. Nothing surprises us anymore about these circumstances of these horrible acts. It's like a snowflake, and never one is really the same. And it seems like when we see stuff like Stephon Stearns and we think it's the worst of the worst, then something like this happens. And we're just like, how does these horrible acts almost trump each other? Or how does this evil just keep on existing out there in all different avenues? Maya Rudd, the little child, the little baby in Kentucky. We talked about that. Parents 100% involved. You know, abandoned her, killed her most likely. Parents. And then fled to a hotel and was found in a hotel with a bunch of drugs, trafficking drugs. Grandparents. What in the world is going on here? Children should not be subjected to this. So we are praying for the Brunett family. I'm JLR Investigates. Hit that sub button, like, notification button. We'll talk soon. JLR Investigates. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks, all members, subs, everyone. Your comments and your thoughts are very appreciated. And if you know anything about this case and you want to talk, like, you know, you can talk anonymous. You want to share some stuff about anything about this that, you know, what's going on, or if I said something incorrect, you want to state the, you know, set the record straight. Shoot us an email, me and Magnolia. Tips at JLR Investigates. Magnolia was running the chat. Thank you, Magnolia. You do a great job. Really appreciate Magnolia's work. And I'm probably going to go live later on Magnolia's channel. We're trying to build up her channel. Magnolia's going to get more involved in speaking. So help us support Magnolia by going over her channel and subbing her up. She's almost at 7,000 subs. You know, she's going to do some live streams, and we're just going to, you know, we continue. As I'm presenting this, Magnolia is doing a phenomenal job at doing the research and getting these chats. So she does an awesome job. So I'm very, very grateful to have Team Magnolia on board. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll talk soon. Have a good day. JLR Investigates. Stay safe.